G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to DCS World with Mags, and welcome back to our mods showcase series. As per the last video we did on the MB339, this series is more for new people coming into DCS, with the current massive wave of sales going on, to show off some of the fantastic and free work of the community that it is for you old vets. Although, I have been surprised to see how few people within the DCS community are even aware of the mods that are available and out there. So anyways, we're going to be looking at the F-22 mod today, as you may have guessed. Well, actually, we're going to be taking a look at two of them, both of which are currently available to download and try out for free. Links to both will be included in the video description down below. But first, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. How do you run these? Well, in order to run these mods, you will need one paid-for module. Specifically, you'll need Flaming Cliffs 3. Now, DCS Flaming Cliffs is kind of the go-to starting module for most people getting into DCS. You get half a dozen aircraft such as the F-15, the A-10A, along with most of the current DCS Red 4 fighters and campaigns for each aircraft. So it's great for single player. The aircraft in FC3 are not full fidelity. That is to say that it's not to say that they're not accurately modelled. They are. They just don't have clicky pits and some features that the full modules have. That said, the reason why you need Flaming Cliffs 3 is many of the mod aircraft you will be seeing in this series access parts of Flaming Cliffs 3 to work, so it is a requirement and unavoidable, I'm sorry to say. If you already own Flaming Cliffs 3, it's simply a matter of downloading the mod and placing it in the DCS World mod directory under your user folders, and it should work. Okay, so one other thing to note about mod aircraft is that they will only be available in multiplayer if the creator for the mission running on the multiplayer server has placed the mod aircraft within the mission. Now, some servers do this. You will find various mod aircraft. In particular, you will regularly find the MB339 and the Skyhawk, as they are fantastically well done, but they are not always available, and the same applies with things like the F-22. So just because you download it, doesn't mean you're going to be going into multiplayer to kick everybody's ass. For the most part, consider it single player, and if you happen to find a server that supports it, so much more fun. Alright, so time to get to the F-22. So we're going to start with the Grinnelli F-22 mod. This is probably the most popular F-22 mod available for DCS at the moment, and it's pretty much fully functional. The cockpit uses some custom instrumentation, but for the most part it borrows its avionics from the F-15C, included in Flaming Cliffs 3, and that's something you're going to see with a lot of mods in the future as well. It's armed with both AIM-9X Sidewinders and the AIM-120C AMRAM, and even includes a smoke generator for anyone wanting to do a little airshow routine or just draw a massive rooster in the sky, if you know what I mean. The flight modelling... Alright, so I'm going to have to hold up a bit on this point. The F-22 is still very classified. It's going to be a very long time until it's ever fully declassified, and even longer again before we see an actual detailed and accurate simulation of it, if we ever see one of that at all. So, how accurate is the flight model? Well, the truth is I don't know, and I doubt anyone outside of somebody that has actually flown it or was involved in building it actually knows. I'll go out on a limb and say that the modders that made both of today's F-22s probably used the best public information that was available to make the flight model. However, that is the best public information available on a classified aircraft that the one time I have had the privilege to see on the ground and in person included a barricade that let no one closer than about 20 meters to the airframe, and also included aircraft handlers that had automatic weapons as part of their standard toolkit. It flies like you would expect an F-22 to fly if you have ever seen one at an air show. Take it as that and nothing more. It's fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun. But don't take it as a realistic representation of the airframe's capabilities, and don't treat it as an accurate simulation. It's just a fun little toy to play with that doesn't cost you anything. That being said, it does make for some fantastic visuals and some fantastic missions, and that comes down to the mission creation. It integrates perfectly with no problems with all of the mission editing. You can create full custom missions based around this thing. It'll take your waypoints exactly the same as the other aircraft in Flaming Cliffs 3. It's essentially just a Flaming Cliffs 3 aircraft in all aspects when it comes to mission generation. So that works perfectly fine with no problems at all. In fact, I've put together a couple of missions that I'm probably going to put up on the channel over the next couple of days, having a bit of fun with the F-22. In multiplayer, as I said at the start of the video, it comes down to whether or not the mission creator has actually put the F-22 into the game, or into the mission that they've created that the multiplayer server is running. If they have, again, works perfectly fine. If they haven't, it's going to be fairly rare that you encounter one, I think it's fair to say. For the most part, I think you would be best off if you want to try this thing in multiplayer. Use the mission editor to create your own mission with the F-22 included, and then invite your friends on to the server and host the server yourself and play around with it that way. That's probably your best bet. I do have to say, I absolutely love the amount of AOA you can pull in this thing. It is ridiculous, and how well it'll still control even at near stall speeds. And I am so sorry, MiG-29. Although, to be fair, two MiG-29s versus an F-22, this was never a fair fight to begin with. Hell of a lot of fun, though. Anyways, that is the end of the Grinnelli F-22. This one is available in the links in the video description down below. It's hosted on a Google Drive. Now, I know some people don't like that, so the next one may be more up your alley, although it does have its upsides and its downsides. This is the VSN F-22. Alright, so what's the difference with this one? Well, first things first, we'll get through the flight modelling and the weapons. Weapons availability on the VSN F-22 is pretty much the same as the Grinnelli mod, and the flight modelling, while subtly different in a couple of areas, I think this one's actually a little bit smoother in a few spots, is based on probably very similar information. So the same sort of public information on a classified aircraft that we've got. So it's no more realistic than the Grinnelli mod. Comes down to your personal flavour and which one you prefer to fly. So that makes no difference overall. I will, however, say that the VSN mod, I'm not sure if the 3D model is exactly the same. It is very close. It's very hard to tell. But I do like the texturing on the VSN mod better. I think the aircraft overall has a little bit better presentation. It does, however, come with one significant drawback overall, and it's why this mod isn't a lot more popular. It doesn't have a custom cockpit. It just straight uses the F-15C cockpit from Flaming Cliffs 3. Now, this functions perfectly fine. All the systems work, all the avionics read as they should based on what the aircraft is actually doing. But for some, this is probably going to take the suspension of disbelief just that little bit too far for them to handle. That being said, it flies perfectly fine and functions perfectly fine. So if all you're after is some external shots, or you don't overly mind the fact that it's got the F-15C cockpit rather than the custom cockpit, or if you just don't like using Google Docs and you would rather download something from somewhere else, this one is available to download directly from the DCS website, from their mod section. DCS website, the main website, has a section that is just dedicated to user-created files, which include mods for DCS, as well as missions and so on and so forth. You can download it directly from there, installs into exactly the same area, and again, runs absolutely perfectly. For multiplayer and everything else, exactly the same rules apply as well. The VSN F-22 would need to be placed to run in multiplayer, otherwise honestly your best bet is to create your own missions if you want to fly it. Perfectly fine aircraft though. Alright, so that has been the Grinnelli and the VSN F-22 mods for DCS World. Links to both of these are in the video description down below. Now just one extra thing to note at this point, there are at least one, possibly two other F-22 mods getting around that are also DCS World compatible. However, these are not publicly available. There's a couple of modding groups out there that like to develop their own aircraft for DCS and other flight simulators just to run internally for their own projects, whether it be content creation. I know some have developed aircraft specifically for running in virtual air shows and things of that nature. So you might see screenshots of those getting around or videos of those getting around, but these are mods that, at least at the moment, are not available to the general public. You would need to be a part of one of these groups to have access to these mods. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you very much for watching. So DCS World will be returning to the channel very, very soon. The next mod video is probably going to be on the Su-57 Pack FAR, but I do have a couple of others lined up as well. I will of course be revisiting the Skyhawk, possibly one of the single most popular mods currently available in DCS for aircraft, and one that does show up in multiplayer very, very regularly. as well as some of the more outlandish mods in there, such as the Star Wars mod and some of the asset packs, because one thing DCS does need more of is assets, and there are some fantastic mods out there for just that. Anyways guys, until next time, remember to click that like button if you did, share and subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, take care.